At 2:08 in the morning, 19-year-old Bryce Laspisa called his mother. He told her he was tired. He said he had pulled off Interstate 5, somewhere in Southern California, and planned to sleep in his car before driving the rest of the way home. His parents lived in Laguna Niguel. He was supposed to be less than 2 hours away. They told him to rest. They expected him to wake them when he arrived. But Bryce never came home. A few hours later, someone spotted his tan Toyota Highlander below an access road near Castaic Lake. The SUV had gone down an embankment. Its rear window was shattered. Inside were Bryce's phone, his wallet, his laptop, and other belongings. There was no sign of Bryce, not in the driver's seat, not near the wreck, not on the dark road above it. In the days that followed, search teams moved through the rocky hills, dry brush, and black water around Castaic Lake. They searched by air, on horseback, with dogs, with divers. Nothing led them to Bryce, and more than a decade later, one question remains. How does a 19-year-old college student drive for nearly 30 hours, call home in the middle of the night, crash his SUV near a lake, and then disappear without a trace? This is the disappearance of Bryce Laspisa. Bryce David Laspisa was 19 years old in August of 2013. He was a student at Sierra College near Sacramento, California. His parents, Karen and Michael, lived hundreds of miles south in Laguna Niguel in Orange County. Bryce was their only child. By all accounts, he was at a point in life when everything was supposed to be opening up. College, friends, plans for the future. At the end of August, Bryce had returned to Northern California for the start of his second year. Then, within days, something seemed different. Friends and family later described behavior that worried them, but no one could say exactly what it meant. There was no clear explanation, no confirmed plan to disappear, no known threat waiting for him on the road. On the night of August 28th, Bryce began a drive south. The destination was familiar, his parents' home. It should have been a straightforward trip down Interstate 5. Instead, the journey became a chain of delays, confusing phone calls, and hours that still do not make sense. By the next day, Bryce had reached Buttonwillow, a small community in Kern County. But he did not continue home. His vehicle ran out of gas. A roadside assistance worker brought fuel. Later, Bryce was still in the same general area. Hours were passing. His parents were growing alarmed. They knew he had been driving south. They knew he was not where they expected him to be. Eventually, the family reported him missing. Law enforcement located Bryce near a rest stop in Kern County. He told his parents he was fine. He said he was with friends. But his family's concern did not disappear. By late that night, Bryce was still not home. He told his parents that he was heading south on Interstate 5. At one point, he said he was about 90 minutes away. Then came the final call. At 2:08 a.m. on August 30th, Bryce called again. He said he was too tired to keep driving. He said he had exited the freeway and planned to sleep in his car. His exact location was unclear. That detail would become one of the central mysteries of the case. Because Bryce was not found, parked safely beside the road before dawn. A camera later showed his Highlander heading down an access road near Castaic Lake at around 4:30 that morning. The route did not lead to his parents' home. It led toward the lake. And roughly an hour later, the SUV was found at the bottom of an embankment. The call at the Laspisa home came early that morning. For Karen and Michael, the sound at the door brought a moment of hope. Maybe Bryce had finally arrived. Maybe he was standing outside, tired from the road, ready to explain everything. But it was a California Highway Patrol officer. Bryce's tan 2003 Toyota Highlander had been found near the main launch ramp at Castaic Lake. It had rolled down from an access road and come to rest below. The rear windshield was broken out. There was a small amount of blood inside the vehicle, but the crash scene did not contain the answer everyone needed. Bryce was gone. His phone was still in the SUV. His wallet was there. His laptop was there. The things a person would normally take if they were trying to start over were left behind. Investigators told the family it appeared Bryce may have been able to walk away from the crash. But where could he have gone? The landscape around Castaic Lake is difficult at night. Rocky ground, loose dirt, dry brush, steep slopes, no streetlights, no easy path back to the highway. If Bryce had been injured, confused, or disoriented, even a short walk could have become dangerous. But if he had walked away, there should have been something. A footprint, a piece of clothing, a witness, a trace. There was nothing that could explain where he went next. The search began immediately. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department sent teams into the area surrounding the crash site. Investigators checked roads, trails, hillsides, and brush. Helicopters searched from above. Mounted teams moved across the terrain. Divers entered Castaic Lake. Search dogs were brought in. According to the family, investigators said Bryce's scent appeared to lead toward the water. But the lake gave them no answer. Divers found no sign of him. The shoreline gave them no confirmed trail. The hills gave them no evidence of a person trying to escape. As days turned into weeks, every reported sighting and possible trace had to be checked. At one point, the discovery of burned human remains a few miles away created fear that the case had taken an even darker turn. But authorities later determined those remains belonged to someone else. It was another devastating dead end. Eventually, the large-scale search was reduced, but the case did not end. Bryce's family kept looking. They returned to the area. They asked the public for information, and investigators continued to treat Bryce as a missing person. Today, his case remains listed with the California Department of Justice, with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department as the reporting agency. There are several possibilities. None of them has been proven. The first is that Bryce survived the crash, but became lost or badly injured in the rough terrain. This is possible. The area around Castaic Lake can be unforgiving, especially in darkness. A person without a phone, water, or clear direction could quickly lose their way. Another possibility is that Bryce entered the lake. Search teams and divers examined that possibility, but no evidence has ever confirmed it. The absence of a recovery does not prove that he entered the water, and it does not rule it out. Some people believe Bryce may have left voluntarily, but there is no public evidence that he had prepared a new life, arranged help, or contacted anyone afterward. Leaving his phone, wallet, and laptop behind would have made that path extremely difficult. A third possibility is that someone else encountered Bryce after the crash, but investigators have not publicly identified evidence of an abduction, attack, or known suspect, and that is what makes this case so hard to resolve. Every theory begins at the same place: a wrecked SUV, a dark road, a young man who appears to have gotten out alive. Then nothing. There are details in Bryce's behavior before the disappearance that remain troubling. But troubling behavior is not an answer. It cannot tell us what he was thinking at 2:08 in the morning. It cannot tell us why he drove toward Castaic Lake. And it cannot tell us what happened after the crash. Bryce Laspisa was not supposed to vanish on a remote road. He was supposed to drive home. He was supposed to walk through his parents' front door. Instead, The last image connected to him is a damaged SUV beneath a dark hillside near a lake. His possessions were there. His vehicle was there. But Bryce wasn't. For his family, the mystery is not only about the crash. It is about the hours before it. Why did the trip take so long? Why did he remain in Buttonwillow? Why did he say he was close to home, then turn toward Castaic Lake? And after he got out of that vehicle, did he walk into the hills, toward the water, or toward another road? No one knows. The road Bryce was traveling had an ending. His story did not. More than a decade later, Bryce Laspisa is still missing. And somewhere between a phone call at 2:08 a.m. and an empty SUV before dawn, the answer disappeared into the dark.